Henry Rollins is. The worst sequel to Too Many Cooks. Ladies and gentlemen, it's 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time, and you know what that means. Now it is time to stream some nonsense with Games Radar.
We need theme music.
We do need theme music. We need
stream and show. Stream and okay. As far as I've gotten with it, it's still a work in progress.
Max, do you want to start singing the Evangelion theme song? Wait a second.
Those are the words to that song.
Mm-hmm. That entire thing was a rockapella original before they turned it into that. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not a rockapella performance. This is none of that. This is How It's Done, our weekly talk show, where we hang out with a developer and we ask them how in the hell they actually made the thing that they made. We are going to be joined later today on today's stream with by Trent Custers, old Trent Custers of League of Geeks, who are the wonderful people behind Armello, the board game that we're about to play. And, like, man, I don't know if... There needs to be a different term for board games that are not played with an actual board.
Or tabletop.
Yeah, but
it's not on a table either.
There's no table present. There's, like, what do we call this? Max,
a dice rolling game?
You have
Video board game?
You have the most experience with Armello. Actually, wait a second. Let's do a little bit of a roll call, everybody. We have a veritable drunken posse.
House.
We have a full house. We have Mr. Maxwell McGee. Hello, Maxwell.
Hello, everybody.
We have Mr. Connor Sheridan. Hello, Connor.
Hello.
And we have Sophia Tong. Hello, Sophia.
Hello. I've also been secretly playing a lot of this game, so...
Oh, all right. Somebody who's familiar. That's what I'm talking about. And we got Mr. Dave Roberts. Hello, Dave.
Hello, I'm looking at the stream right now, and it looks like we got a little Brady Bunch thing going on with all of our video.
I don't know. Anthony gets the big window on the screen, and
this is how it's done, Maxwell. You get in there.
This is booty.
No, well, since I have the separate one, that means I'm Alice, the maid. If we're extending the Brady Bunch metaphor here, we're gonna.
I didn't realize we had video. I feel bad. Like, I'm on my phone. Usually it works.
I mean, that's pretty much what your face looks like anyway, Connor.
Yeah, with the rays of sunshine.
The lines coming out of it.
Yeah, the line. You're very exciting. Like every time we talk to you.
Do you want to try calling me again, Anthony, so I can get in on this video action?
Sure. Yeah,
so
we
just
can do
dip out real quick. All right, I'm gonna dip out real quick.
We can absolutely do that. Janny,
everybody, make sure to join the game. I got the invite.
Join the game. Join the game. Everybody's invited. You are invited. No dismemberment plan fans in the house? That's a thing. So yeah, we have this crew of wonderful human beings. They are going to be playing Armello all at the same time, and we're also going to have Trent Custers of League of Geeks with us a little bit later on. You're also going to see us try to add Connor back to this call really quickly.
And it's not going to go very well.
It's not going to go well. It's totally a thing. All right. So, this is going to be the first match of this that I play with human beings.
Yeah, mine too, also. I'm actually pretty excited, because I've played a lot with the computer, and the computer is okay. It does have a bad habit of just, like, wandering into the swamps and killing itself sometimes. And I'm hoping you guys will do less of that.
Well,
no guarantees.
Actually really good, and, like, picking on me, and then taking up all the prestige. I was like, wait, what the heck's going on?
That was one of the things Trent and I talked about when I did the preview for a game a while back. They've been working on cranking the AI up in difficulty.
Yeah, now it feels a little challenging, because I had a hard time.
Maxwell, you actually did a really awesome feature on Armello for Games Radar, which has one of my favorite headlines that we've run in recent memory.
I did.
Which is...
Do you remember what it was? I don't remember.
It's cutthroat diplomacy and cuddly critters. In Armello on PlayStation 4.
That alliteration, I was proud of that.
It's so good. I feel like you're uniquely primed to give everybody a look inside of what Armello is. There are people out there, so this just came to PlayStation 4. It's been on Steam for a while in early access, right?
Access.
Yeah. And so it is there's a name for this type of board game where it's like hexagons. It's a hexagonal board game.
A hexagonist.
It's a hexagonist mixed with a little red wall. There are anthropomorphic things happening. There are bunnies and bears who are seemingly all the same size for some.
It's Game of Thrones. It's D&D. Everybody plays as a bunny or a wolf or a bear, and you collect items and kill each other, and you try to take out the king and become the ruler of Armello.
Ruler of Armello.
Yeah. You just want to take over the whole world, and the king is dying from this thing called rot, and so you have only a set amount.
It's making him crazy.
And it's making him nuts. So there are like 4 different win conditions.
Mm-hmm.
What are the win conditions, Sophia?
Well, there are 4 different ways you could win. I mean, so you can try to beat the game by having what was like the most prestige at the end of the game.
Right.
By the time the king.
It's the political victory.
Right. By the time the king chokes, you can try to collect all the spirit stones to cleanse the king of the rot, or you could go the opposite way and try to collect more rot and go after the king that way, and become like some kind of lord of corruption. What was the other way to win?
The other one, it's a little weird because there's you can just go and straight kill the king and become the ruler, and that gets you to win. You can also try to get more rot than the king and then kill him, and that also gets you to win. So they're kind of the same thing, just one of them involves more rot than the other.
Hey, can we not get Connor into the match?
You guys add me to the
It's
party?
only 4-player. Son of a
Yeah,
bitch.
4-player
For
game.
some reason, I thought that it was a 5-player game this entire time. I'm really smart. Wah, wah. All right, well let's start this thing, and Connor, you can sub in on the next one.
Yes.
All right.
And in the meantime, you can be moral support.
Yep. You guys are the best.
You guys are really. You'll
be our hype man.
You guys are the bunniest. You are the bunniest. All right, Sophia, Max, you guys want to ready up?
Okay, I gotta ready up. Sorry about that. Okay, here we go. And then Dave, you need to ready up as well. All right, there we are.
Time remaining. 3, 2, bees. All right.
All right.
So you can be Ratatouille.
Yeah, you can be Ratatouille, you can be Wolf Person, Bear Lady. If you've not played the game before, Thane, the wolf, is pretty straightforward, as well as Brune, the bear with the big whooping stick. He's pretty straightforward. And then River as well. It's a little more complicated.
Was Brune on American Gladiators? Is that where he learned?
Well, I guess I'm River.
You would assume so.
Yeah.
Yeah, but back
did
then
you
he was
actually watch that
X-Beam.
show? Because I never did.
He was once known as Turbo or Laser.
He wore an American leotard with an American flag stuck into it.
All right, choose a quest.
I have no idea what this means.
I'm gonna go ahead and choose scenic route.
So the way the quests work is you'll see at the top they all have it basically the icon at the top is your reward. So if you have like a little golden box, that means you're going to get an item. If there's a little blue rock, that means you're going to get a spirit stone, and that helps you with the spirit stone victory. And then the green one is, I don't know, it's something else. The quests, there's going to be you get a marker on the map, and that's where you go to do your quest. So when you pick one, a marker will appear on the map, and that's where you need to go to do your quest and try to get the item that is on the card.
All right.
So maybe don't tell everybody what your quest is there, Armello, Anthony.
Yeah, so we're
Armello.
Armello.
I know.
Yes. They actually asked me if this game was a board game based off of the candy bar, and I told her, no, but maybe if you want it to be.
Oh, why aren't I moving? Is it not my turn?
Yeah, is it my turn?
Probably not. It is turn-based, so whoever's turn... It's not my turn either.
I think it's my turn.
Okay, well then start heading towards
I'm just
your mark.
I'm just a lady
Probably
bear.
what you wanted to do.
I'm a lady bear standing
Lady
in a
bear.
little circle. Lady bear.
Okay, how many lady bears do we have? 'Cause I'm a bear.
You're
I'm
a bear?
Okay, not everybody is the bear.
I'm
Right now,
on
Yeah,
in
so
the game,
I'm not even the lady
Bear
bear.
mode.
Who is
you're
the
not
lady
even
bear?
the lady. What you should do is you should hit the triangle button, and that'll pull up your character sheet.
Barnaby? What?
Oh, yeah.
Look at this smug little bastard.
I'm Barnaby.
You're
Let's
Barnaby.
see. Sophia, you're Brood.
Yes, I'm Brood.
I'm Barnaby.
Oh no, I'm the sexy rabbit.
You're the sexy rabbit, Anthony.
Yeah.
And David is the bear, Sana. Unfortunately, Sana is the most complicated character to play, so you might have a bad time. But,
Wait, what?
Good luck.
Dave is obsessed with Metal Gear Solid, man. He's ready for complicated.
God.
Yep.
Hey man, I went into a town and there was a skull and it sucked.
Yeah,
you don't-
the
try
skull
not to do that.
icons indicate that there are traps on that tile. So you got to be careful about
Spirit versus Peril. I'm gonna roll these dice.
Roll some dice.
Yeah, I did it. I think.
And watch, I'm seeing your results pop up now.
Yeah, a bunch of things
See how
happened.
it goes for you there.
Oh, I think I lost a heart. But I also discovered how to use fire, which I don't think rabbit kind has known.
Yeah, because I
before.
think like that you're on a dungeon right now, right?
Right.
And like you spend your turn to find items in the dungeon.
Yeah, that's the sexy rabbit's special ability. Is she's actually better at dungeoneering than anybody else, so she's more likely to find good things in the dungeons than anybody else. So yeah, if you're playing as sexy rabbit, you want to hit up.
Jack Kowalski says.
I really wish you'd stop objectifying this rabbit.
All right.
I know. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Look, this is not
totally
be respectful.
attractive, but not in a weird sexual way.
Jack Kowalski, I'm still concerned and worried that you called Amber a bunny and not a hare. Is that like? Am I being racist? Is that what's happening?
Oh, speciesist.
Speciesist?
Yeah, you're being specious.
Where's my mark? Yeah, it's up there. Okay. I got a waste.
Specious at best.
Mm-hmm.
Wait a second.
Shallow and pedantic.
Okay, whose turn is it right now?
Alright, so I just went. I'm ending my turn right now. And now it is Bloon's turn, so it's Sophia's turn, so...
Finally.
Anthony, if you want to scroll around the screen and see if you can find Sophia.
Yeah, I'm on Sophia right now, actually.
Oh,
Luckily, my screen is bouncing to whomever is... whoever's turn it is when they come up.
I'm done, by the way.
Cool.
Hey, cool turn, Sophia.
Yeah, I just walked.
Sophia, did you make frickin' Mufasa there just get some kind of point? Is that what happened?
No, so what's happening is, as the days pass, the king becomes more and more corrupted by the rot, and he loses health. And eventually the king's just gonna die. His organs are gonna turn into a bowl of SpaghettiOs, and he's gonna keel over dead. And at that point, whoever has the most prestige will be declared the winner.
Can we teach him any life lessons?
Only if you collect all the spirit stones. If you actually collect 4 of those spirit stones, and you saw one of them appear up towards the top of the screen, that was the blue little rock that warped in from outer space. If you get 4 of those, you can go into the castle and you can hug it out with the king, and he'll realize that, hey, maybe being corrupted by magic poison isn't the best thing to do with my time. And he'll get over it, and peace will return to Armello.
Hey,
you can summon Shenron. And
that's right. You can wish.
Shenron!
Wish for the peace in the kingdom.
But wait a second. I thought on this planet only the Elder Bear can make the hairballs.
No, it's okay. We're actually playing on Namek, so that's why everything's so green and blue in the thing. We've been on Namek for the last 60 episodes.
I can't wait. Can't wait for Trent Custers to get here. Because that guy is just going to be so deeply annoyed with all of us. All right, so
talking about
Maxwell. Apparently, I'm in a stealth state.
You're stealth right now, and that's a good thing to be.
All
it
right.
means people can't see you on the map, and they're less likely to cast painful spells on you. Everybody, whoever's turn is next, you should also pay attention to the cards you have over on the left side of the screen.
Right.
You can use the directional pad to call those up. There are all sorts of different cards, but you can equip things to your character and cast spells, and those will help you.
The wolves have set up.
I think
I'm
watching the
questing
stream,
it right
and
now.
I'm a little bit behind, but yeah, it looks like Dave, you're about to go on a quest.
No, this is me.
So,
this is.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. For Anthony's about to go on a quest. There are 2 options for every quest. You can do the risky version, or you can do the safe version. If you do the safe version, you don't get that special item, but your stats will go up. If you do the risky version, there's a chance you'll get the special item, but then there's a chance you might hurt yourself.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and hurt myself here. I'm gonna risk it. I'm gonna risk it all.
30% chance.
Go ahead.
Yeah, 30% is pretty garbage, but you could go ahead and try it.
Rabbits are stubborn. You charge the barricade and smash through. The battle is fierce, and although victorious, you're wounded in combat. Give me that treasure, though!
No, you don't get the treasure, but you do get the stat increases. So
all right.
You can feel good about that.
So
since I used some of my cards on my last turn, so I'm gonna draw some new cards.
Where are you, Max?
I'm totally stealth. I played a card that lets me just be stealth everywhere, so you can't see me right now. But if you really want to know, I'm not gonna tell you. So let me.
Old Barnaballs is hiding from us.
Okay, so here I'm gonna play a special card called the Merchant's Agreement, and I'm gonna find Sophia because she's big and strong, and I'm intimidated by her character.
See, if Max, I want to let you know that I have this Ally Pact card where both of us to get prestige per turn until either.
That's what I'm talking about. I've got a card like that too, but I think you're in a forest or something because I don't freaking see anybody anywhere. Everybody is invisible right now, so I can't.
Max feels so lonely.
So never mind. I'm gonna hold off on that. Let's
but
look at
if
this.
you want to team up and take on these guys, I've got the card.
Yeah, play it on me when I become visible again, and we will rule the galaxy as co-worker and boss.
This is really cool. That like, it's. So, are there any cooperative elements, or are we just sort of every man in for themselves?
The turn that Trent will use when he gets here is there are soft alliances.
It's
There can only
competitive.
be one winner.
So yeah, there can only be one winner. But as you heard me and Sophia talking about, there are cards where it's like, hey, I'm gonna play this card on you, and as long as neither of us get killed, we're each gonna get some kind of bonus every turn. So you can like do things like that and play those sorts of cards on each other, and then that way you're sort of less incentivized to try to backstab and murder each other.
But that's when they least expect it.
So I actually just played a card and died.
Yeah.
I don't know why that happened, because I thought that I was going to gain 2 health by using that card.
Well, you know, it's a learning process.
And then I beefed it.
Nobody understood Risk the first time they played it. It takes
everybody understands Risk. You start in Iceland and then you stay in Iceland and everything is
Australia.
Go to Australia, yep.
Yeah, Australia is the key to winning that game.
You gotta hold
or
that
at least
place down.
Creating a stalemate that nobody else can.
Just turtle in.
Sophia,
okay, so
I
Sophia,
found you.
I see you over there at Sophia at the stone circle. You should totally play that card that you said you were going to play on me and not on anybody else.
Gold if target can't pay. We're going to ask old Trent Custers about... We're going to ask old Trent...
We're going to get to the bottom of this.
We're going to ask old Trent Custers all about the text size. Because I don't know if you guys can see it, or if anybody watching the stream can see it, but I keep having to, like, lean into my TV.
One thing you can do is, like, so Sophia, again, I'm a little bit behind watching the stream, but if you press left to pull out your card, if you press left again, it'll pull it to the front of the screen, and it'll be a little bit bigger.
Oh, that's awesome.
So that'll help you a little bit.
Ah, magic.
Armello Maxwell.
You don't have enough money to cast
it on. You don't have enough money. That sounds like a liar's excuse.
Places a bounty on target. I'm gonna put a bounty on Barnaballs. Where is he?
I'm in the town next to the keep.
I feel like we should have played the tutorial before just jumping into this blind.
Oh my god, you all should have played the tutorial.
Tutorials are for chumps, man.
I played the first 2 levels, but I'm not in the game.
I got about two levels through it, and then we had to get out.
It doesn't look like you have enough of whatever. Oh no, I'm sorry, I'm still behind.
Sorry, I got distracted. I didn't realize I didn't enter.
Oh man, one day passed, and that guy
has passed. So right now, Sana is the prestige leader by some happenstance. So Dave, I believe you have the privilege of picking how the king is going to screw over all the other players for this next turn.
Is it just me or is Sana the most smartly dressed of us? She's really
She's got that elvish cloak from Rivendell. friggin'.
She's really
what's his
rocking
face,
that.
Yeah.
She went to the tailor and said, "Give me that Samwise look right now."
All right.
Samwise me up.
Dave has chosen. So the king is gonna siphon some magic off of all of us, which is just fantastic.
What a dick.
Yep.
Are there ever
He
any
voted
different
him.
situations where there's not a king in the middle, or is that always the central fixture?
Once there's not a king in the middle, the game is over.
Oh.
Through one form or another, yeah.
Right, and the maps are randomly generated like Catan, I'm assuming.
The map is always hexagonal, and it's always this same general shape, but where the where like all the individual tiles, like the forest and the mountains and things are, I believe is randomized.
They're procedurally generated.
Procedurally generated.
Every time it
But
goes
yeah.
to Sana, I hear Archer in my head. Sana!
Sada!
Sana! Oh crap, I think I just woke up the baby in the apartment next door.
Cool.
Nicely done.
Damn it.
Nicely done.
Now I feel
Way
like,
to go, Armello Anthony.
feel like a real jerkus.
Gotta get that in a couple more times.
Oh, snap! Alright, select one card to fill your hand. I'm gonna go with Trickery. Oh, I already had that.
Why do you keep telling everybody what cards you have?
Don't worry about it.
I mean, we can
I
see
guess
it
we
on
can
the
watch your
Twitch
stream
or the
anyway,
Twitch
yeah.
stream, yeah.
Everybody knows exactly what I'm getting up to. I'm not going back to that dungeon. That place sucked before.
I ain't going back there.
I ain't going back there, man.
You
I
can't
ain't
make me
doing
go
it.
back.
I'm gonna go say hi to Sana. Oh
No! Yeah, this is swamp, dude.
Oh, that
You go in
sucked.
the swamp, you
Alright.
lose health.
Places a bounty on target.
What are you doing?
Crooks.
Don't play anything on me.
If minus one gold, if target can't pay, -1 health and -1 action point.
I will come at you with the fury of a
So, yeah.
1,000 suns.
Cards like that, cards like the bandits, like what you were just reading, that is that's a trap. So you're gonna play it on a certain tile. I think bandits are played on like cities or maybe forests. And then yeah, if a person lands on that and they can't friggin' pay, although maybe it's an instant cast. I don't know. Don't listen to me.
You might be trying to lead us wrong. Alright. Well, I just went and hearted up. I went and filled
Alright,
up my
here we go.
heart.
I need some items. I got shield.
Snot Rock
There we
T2. Game sounds cool, but have to see just how it plays out. We're doing that
Yeah.
for you, man.
We're right there with you.
We're right there with you. This isn't how you guys play board games. You like to discover things as they go.
To make
That's
up
why
the
I like
rules.
virtual board games, because at least the rules and the dice rolls are all calculated for you. Because
Right.
if we were trying to figure this out, somebody would be reading in the instructions. Max like,
Yeah.
no, you see this way, and no, this is your
Rules
first
lawyering would be
Yeah.
laying on thick.
Oh my
Maybe a
god.
couple pieces missing.
The first time I tried to play Arkham Horror with people was the worst because it took me an hour to set up the board,
So hard.
another like hour to explain the rules, and by the time we actually started playing, everyone's like, "Let's just go get dinner."
By that point, everybody's like 4 beers deep. They're like, wait, what character did I pick? I have what special abilities?
I got
I like
money
that.
again, Max. Just letting you know.
I really
know.
don't see how that ties into the
all
rest of the Batman universe. It's really weird.
No, it's fine, man. You have to set up the whole asylum,
Uh,
and then... Why do they keep putting those crooks in that asylum? Don't put them all in the same place. There are
I know,
other
you think after the
facilities.
first time-
let's no.
Hey man, not in my backyard.
No,
I'm
That's
not
it.
gonna go.
Nobody
my
else wants to
backyard.
take them.
that's
You
the
know,
new...
they're gonna send them to Metropolis? I don't think so.
Yeah, like I really dig the son of a bitch. There's a peril there. I'm just gonna take the hit.
Ah! You fell in my trap!
I believe he activated your trap card, Anthony.
But, you know,
Don't laugh
I've
at
been,
that. Don't laugh at that.
I really love my my iPad because it's like I have all these like virtual board games and stuff that normally cost like $50 to buy, but
Mhm.
you know you spend $6 on Pandemic and the whole game is right there, and you just hand the iPad to your friend and it takes care of the rules for you.
Mm.
It's awesome. Like iPad is the best board game device ever.
Go over here, do a thing.
And as someone who has a tiny
Oh, there we
apartment
go.
and probably over 50 board games. It is a welcome investment.
Are you one of those people who just backs every board game Kickstarter that happens?
No, I don't have
reflexively.
Actually, wait. This is like, Dave, you might be the only person on the planet who actually has this, but do you have Metal Gear Solid Risk?
No, I don't. I wanted to get it, but also I hate Risk.
Oh yeah, that's tough. That's a tough balance.
My friend Aaron has that. I've never played it, but he has it.
I will say though, Risk Legacy is brilliant. Have you guys heard of it?
No. What is Risk Legacy?
Okay, so basically, it plays kind of like Risk, but it uses a similar version of the 21 something whatever rule. So it's like the games are faster. They usually only last about an hour or two to play, rather than your entire lifetime. But the way it works is when you play your first game, you have a very limited set of rules. But you have to make certain choices. So like when someone picks the unit type that they want to play, they have specific abilities. There are 2 to choose from. You pick one, you permanently stick it to that unit's rule card, you throw the other one out. Throw it, like not just, like, you don't use it for that game, you throw it away, because your copy of Risk Legacy will not use that rule.
Wow.
And the more games you play, the more rules unlock. So there are certain pieces that you won't have access to until your game has until your game has reached a certain state. So it's like, if this and this happens by game 5, open up this pouch, and there are like pockets in the box.
There are pouches.
That's really cool, dude.
That are
so weird.
But they're locked up. There are pouches locked up that once you once you reach that state in the board, you tear it open, and there are now new pieces to play with for future games.
Wow.
Jumanji.
Robin Williams comes out of the box.
Is he in one of the pouches?
Wearing a green loincloth.
But it's weird as hell. Like, you have to get over that idea that this game literally wants me to tear up cards and throw them away. But once you do, if you get a group of people that play board games together regularly, it's so much fun, because there are just so many things, so many surprises. There are board game spoilers, and I don't want to spoil them for you because it's amazing.
That's awesome. I've never heard of such a thing where you're actually supposed to destroy parts of the board.
Yeah, you write when you win games, you actually write the winner of each game gets to pick a perk, and one of the perks is that you get to write, you get to name one of the towns, and each subsequent game that you play, you get a bonus if you control that town, and you actually write on the board with the Sharpie, whatever town name you want for it.
Hey, Max, these purple dudes, these purple bird things,
right?
Can I mess them up, or should I leave them alone?
Ooh, that's a good question. The purple bird things are evil. They're chaotic evil. And they will probably attack you if you get close to them. If you do manage to kill them, it is good for you. It'll raise your prestige and help you win the game. But if they kill you, you'll get this thing called rot, which is generally a detriment.
Ooh.
But they're not too terribly difficult to bring down. So you could probably jack one up if you really wanted to. If you make sure you have that heavy flail equipped or something.
Yeah, I'm actually doing that. So if anybody has had trouble seeing the cards on the stream that I just picked because of this tiny text, I just picked a heavy flail, which ups my attack by 2, and another card which will add a couple of dice. Hey, I have an umbrella.
Nice.
You do. You have a parasol with a sword inside.
I have a real classy umbrella. I'm gonna roll these dice.
Roll the dice. You can use the touchpad on your PS4 touch controller to roll the dice.
Use your touchpad on your DualShock 4.
Could I use the Apple Pencil?
Oh, that's right. Suck it, bird.
On the PS4 DualShock 4 touchpad.
I'm seeing it now. It looks like you're getting a pretty good
I just wrecked that bird.
Wow, you just took out
That's right. That's right, guard dog. Check that crap out. That was awesome.
That's good.
That's as good a time as any to bring in old Trent Custers of League of Geeks. Hold on 1 second. We're going to loop Trent Custers into the call. If anybody is hanging out, watching us, welcome to How It's Done, Games Radar's weekly talk show where we talk to developers about the games they make and the carefully bizarre process of making them. We have a veritable crew of drunken toughs from Games Radar hanging out today. We've got Dave Roberts, Maxwell McGee, Sophia Tong, and Connor Sheridan. My name is Anthony John Agnello, and now we will bring in old Trent Custers. I swear to God, I'm going to stop calling him old Trent Custers. Old Trent Custers.
The Custer touch.
Old Trent Custers.
I gotta capture some cities.
This stream is about to get Custer filled.
Oh, dunk! Old Trent Custers is not responding on ye old Skype.
Aren't they based like in Australia? Or
they are based in Australia.
They even have Skype down
I would like to remind folks
it's
that
called Epics.
Old Trent Custers is going to be joining us at 7 a.m. his time. So it is.
He probably woke up and realized that this was not the best idea.
Not the best use of his time.
Not the best use.
Old Trent Custers has not
tall as a tree.
Tall as a tree. Hell of a man. hell of a man.
Sounds like an old prospector. Old Trent Custers.
That's because he's out back sifting through his river trying to find some gold.
Old Trent Custers living on the range. Old Trent Custers has a disease in his brains. I don't.
Whoa!
That got weird really quick.
Are you guys talking about Trent Custers? I know him.
Trying to get Trent Custers in here. But that's okay.
I'd be more worried about coyotes if I was you.
Sorry for the delay on selecting cards here, everybody.
God, take forever.
Just taking too long.
Not turning this game or anything. Well, the rest of us are waiting on you.
Hey, whatever, Sophia. Hold on 1 moment. We'll try to get old Trent Custers in here.
A digital board game for play on video machines.
That's what it is.
Honor.
What it is. Alright, wait.
Yes, you put the video cassette in your game machines and you play them with the paddles.
With the paddles. Alright, I'm questing
Make sure you put the overlay on the screen first, or else it won't make any sense.
Right, yeah, you gotta tape your little film overlay over the screen so everything lines up properly.
Alright. Sorry for the delay in taking my turn, everybody. It's now on to Barnaballs again. And yes. Alright, full disclosure on what's happening. Number one, you guys might have noticed in the chat an individual with the handle LB800. That is not a regular Twitch user, everybody. That is my mom. So hi, Mom.
All right.
Also, she pointed out, did you just drop Barnaballs? We had
disapproving.
In high school, I had a teacher named Mr. Barnaba, who very quickly became Mr. Barnaballs. And so now,
I mean, what choice did he have?
What choice do we have? You have.
Was there something notable about his balls?
I'm not gonna go into too much detail there, Connor.
Okay. All right. Fair.
But suffice to say, yes. Suffice to say,
could he have a Wikipedia entry? Does it meet Wikipedia standards for notability?
I'm gonna go ahead and say yes.
Okay.
Still having some trouble getting Trent Custers on the line here. Ah, here we go.
Old Trent Custer.
Old I have no Skype request.
He's right now. He's hearing the Skype call. He's like hearing the jingle, so he ran and jumped in his old-timey minecart and kicked the brakes out, and he's riding down the track right now, trying to get to his computer.
He's gonna watch this replay and be like, "What on earth are they doing?"
Sons of bitches, all of them.
He's definitely sitting there being like, you know who I'm never gonna hang out with ever again? Those Games Radar douchebags.
Oh, Games Radar.
Whoa, transfesters!
To love backs. So.
I think actually no. I just received an email from Trent. Hey Anthony, just heard that you're trying to get a hold of me.
We'll be there soon.
Uh-oh.
I'm here and
That's not a
waiting.
good start.
All right, so let's try to get old Trent Custers in here. One more time. One more time. Back on the
For
old
old time's
road.
sake.
Minecart is not Wi-Fi enabled.
Oh dear.
Son of a... I can't...
Man, you guys are just kind of wandering around the board, aren't you?
Yeah, I have no idea what's happening.
Play some cards.
You
play
mostly
that
just
on too.
want to play cards, and you want to head towards your quest markers. If anybody has like the little bunny icon in the bottom right with the circle next to it that says like pick your quest, you should probably hit the circle button and pick out your next quest.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have Trent Custers. I repeat, we have old Trent Custers.
Yeah, Trent Custers.
Oh, Trent Custer.
Hello, everybody.
Trent!
Hey,
Trent,
hello.
there you are!
Hello.
Hello, welcome,
Hello.
welcome! Sorry
Thank
for the momentary technical difficulties with bringing you in here, my friend. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Trent Custers, co-founder of League of Geeks and director of Armello, hanging out on the line. Hello, Trent!
Hello. I'm going to say good morning because it's morning on my side of the world, so...
Trent, I was just going to say, and we were just mentioning to everybody who is watching with us today, that it is an ungodly hour where you are. It's 7 a.m., right?
It is 7 a.m., yeah, it is.
I cannot believe that you agreed to join us. I would have said, like, you guys can go right to hell. Like, I'm not doing any of that.
We're a very particularly committed type of independent developer in Australia. When you look in the future, there are a few things that you just have to do.
Yeah, it's a responsibility.
Yeah, exactly.
Trent, so tell me, man, how have the so Armello has been out on PlayStation 4 for 2 or 3 weeks now, yes?
Yeah, we're coming up to 2 weeks now. So we released on September 1st worldwide on PlayStation 4, PC, Mac, and Linux. And the reception's been awesome. There's like hundreds of games of Armello going all the time. People are loving it. The reviews have been great, and yeah, it's been surreal. You know, we've been in early access for a while, but then to see this sort of, you know, this volume of people get at the game and, you know, really see that, because as well when you come out of early access too, it's like you saying like, all right, this is where we wanted it to be when we put it in your hands. This isn't maybe not the final vision, but this is where we were heading, and now we're going to take it even further and make it even better.
I'm dead curious, how do you guys, like, what can you see people doing in real time? Like, if you fire up, you know, how you guys gather data, can you just
The Armelloscope.
Yeah, the Armelloscope. Into the Armello scrying pool. Like, what can you guys see what's happening in every match at all times? How do you sort of track?
Are you
what people
omniscient?
Are doing?
Is that?
Is
what
this some
I think
NSA
is
stuff going on?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, we can hear everything. We can see everything. You know, we just get, you know, anything that you do in the game. No, so we have very robust analytics that tell us, you know, everything from how many action points someone might spend in a given game, to how long the games go for, to which cards are played, to which tiles, how many times, all that sort of stuff. So we can keep an eye on the balance of the game, and, you know, not even just the balance of the game, but what people are playing. You know, if there's a card that's not being played at all, then there's probably an issue there. We can also see how many people are online, all of that sort of stuff.
I am now going around the map. Now that I've said all these things about, like, oh, what can you see in terms of analytics, I realize that if I had been watching the four of us play, on your end, I probably would have been like, what are these people doing? Why are they playing the game this way? But then again, all right, Trent, just so you know, Sophia and Maxwell, who are on the line here, Maxwell, who you've spoken to before in a recent interview that was on Games Radar, those two are deeply familiar with Armello. They've been playing Armello for a while. But Dave, Connor, and myself, who are here on the line, this is the first sort of full match that we're playing, and we're learning a bit as we go. And,
right.
You know, we were joking around about the dumb choices we've been making, but at the exact same time, this is very easy to pick up. Like, within a few turns, you can figure out, oh, this is what I'm supposed to do, these are what my cards do. How do you go about making a board game that people can actually pick up and learn to play on the fly, rather than everybody sitting around and going through an extended tutorial and reading a rule book? It's tricky.
Well, I think one of those things, excuse me, I've still got my morning voice. Yeah, I think one of those things is that it's a video game. You know, this is one of the benefits that coming to video games as a medium and bringing tabletop design to it, that's what we get from it. One of the benefits is that within an interactive world, within a video game, you can just be sitting there on your own and playing against AI, and when you press something happens. You know, if you're sitting around a board game, you move a piece and then you're like, okay, well, what happens now? And then you move to a rule book and you start to open it up. So, and you know, that type of simplistic depth that you're talking about as well is something that we really pride ourselves on at League of Geeks. That we designed this as a paper prototype for over 8 months. And so that whole time we were like, okay, well, what's important about tabletop design, about board game design, that is part of the nostalgia, that is part of those core concepts that people just understand, like cards as a concept. You know, you get one, you play it to someone or something, they have an effect on them. Just as a whole, a card as a concept is something that, you know, you can't really mess with. Like, people see a hand of cards and they go, oh, these are things that I can use, these are tools for me to interact with the board. And so when you start to put things together, like, oh, these are hexes, I've seen these before, I move around, I have cards, I have a hero, I have action points, okay, like, things start to make sense. And then when you layer in other things, like, you know, tiles have particular effects, you can start to create this sort of, this onion, so to speak, where, you know, you have these layers on the outside and you move in and in and in closer to the center, where, you know, where if you ever tune into our Twitch stream, we play devs versus the community on our Saturdays, and on our Wednesdays we do midweek melees, and those games are hyper intense games where, you know, these are people that have been playing the game for, some of us, you know, I've been playing the game in many iterations for over 4 years, and some of our community members have been playing the game for well over a year now. And you can see some of these card combinations, the way that players are, you know, positioning NPCs around the board, and really using the mechanics to a degree that someone coming to the game just wouldn't ever be able to, you know, perceive that those possibilities were there. But with play, the game of Armello, as we had intended, and thankfully we've achieved it after all this time, reveals its mastery to you with more play.
What was, you know, obviously, like, you guys have been playing the game for all of this time. You said 4 years, and, you know, obviously you've had it on early access for a while. But when you bring something to a console, there are all of these, you know, the certifications that you need to go through, and, you know, the game needs to do this, the game needs to do this, the game needs to do that, in order for the platform holder to approve it for that store. How is Armello, as we're playing it right now on PlayStation 4, discernibly different at sort of like a bedrock level than the way the game was being played on early access even a few months ago?
That's actually something that we're really proud of, because the answer to that is not different at all on a bedrock level. Like, yeah, really, the games are pretty much exactly the same from PS4 through to PC, Mac, and Linux, to the point where if you have a PS4 controller plugged into your PC, you're essentially getting the same experience as the console experience. So there are a couple of small things that to do with the interaction of a controller. So for example, on a controller, because you can have dual input or multiple inputs all happening at one time, we can do things like the way that we had to design how you move through the cards. You can actually move a card out into focus, which is that larger state. excuse me, and then you can cycle through those cards in the focus state, which you can't do on PC because it's more of a click and, you're clicking to select states. So that's just like a tiny little small nice thing that when you're sitting on your couch, you want to see the cards a bit bigger, everything like that. You can actually just cycle through them in that way. It's also, we don't have the chat options on on the PS4 like we do on the PC, just because the PS4 has integrated voice chat, and also when we tried a couple of controller integrations of that, it was a little bit clumsy. So we thought, you know what, let's leave it for launch and let people just chat to their friends via PS4.
Trent, we have a question here from Bit Game Reviews in the chat. Any plans to bring it to mobile? I'm actually impressed that that's the first question, because usually the people in our chat are sitting there and they're like, are you bringing it to Game Gear? Are you bringing it to 3DS? So yeah, mobile. This seems like the kind of thing that people would go freaking gaga for on an iPad.
Yeah, well, it was originally an iPad game. Actually, the iPad itself was one of the biggest points of inspiration for us. We were playing a lot of board games on our iPads when we first came together, and like, hey, let's make a game. And they were just horrible. This was years ago. This was like 4 years ago or something now, and it was pretty insulting to us board game tabletop players and video game developers how pathetic some of those games were at the time, like just these crappy little ports of some of these games that we'd really loved. And so we were like, you know what, no one's doing this properly, and it's an area that we can just come into and dominate and make a game that we love. And so we gave it a shot, and we ended up going to PC as our lead SKU for the Kickstarter when we realized what we had on our hands, knowing that we would eventually come back to our iPad. So yes, in a long roundabout way to answer your question, we are coming to iPad and Android tablets in hopefully about 6 months. So we're actually already started work on those. And we definitely agree the game is perfectly suited for an iPad.
Tell me a little bit about the history of League of Geeks. How did you guys sort of come together?
Yeah, certainly. So we all worked together at a studio called Taurus Games, which is a big studio out here that does a bunch of licensed titles. So we worked on things like Scooby-Doo and Carmageddon and or just kids licensed stuff. And then because Carmageddon is kids licensed stuff, of course.
Oh yeah, that's family fun.
Yeah, that's good old wholesome fun. So yeah, we all worked together, and then anyway, I'd left and I was gone. A couple of us had left the studio, and we were looking around for different jobs and things like that. I was in the States, and a project had sort of fell into my lap, a big one to make an online games portal. And anyway, that sort of thing was I'd assembled a couple of the guys and said, hey, let's get together and make this thing. And then that fell through, and we were sort of just sitting there with the sort of makings of something in our hands, and we were like, you know what if we collaborated together? But the time wasn't right. And then when it had about 6 more months to sort of cook, just everything in the industry sort of came together, and you had tools like Unity that were free. You had all these online production tools like Trello and that, where you could work with people overseas and manage all of that online. The independent community was proving that you could make mid-scope, high-quality titles like Bastion and Braid and things like that. And so, filled with a sort of crazy type of gusto, we just went at it and created this system, a profit share system we call the point system, and with a goal to work with the best people from around the world on a game where we called all the shots. We came together, and 4.5 years later, here we are.
Man, it's even though you guys are an international team, I'm always interested to talk to developers that are primarily based in Australia, because in the past decade, when you look back at 2008, 2009, when the industry, broadly speaking, went through this, very, very intense retraction, the Australian game development community was hit really, really hard. There were just so many studios that were closed between 2008 and 2010, and it was just a really, really, really hard time in the industry in that country. I mean, broadly, but especially in Australia. And I'm curious how, in your opinion, working as an Australian developer, how has that scene rebounded? What's it like being an Australian developer today, especially an independent developer?
Yeah, certainly. So that was huge. That was in 2009, as you said, like the big GFC, the global financial crisis. And because, like I was sort of saying before, this a lot of the studios, or the majority of the studios that were in Melbourne, there was a bunch of them as well, that were around, made licensed titles. Like we were third-party studios making those mid-tier titles that you'd find in bargain bins at your Walmart or your GameStops, and they were for major American publishers, basically. And so as soon as it got to a point where there are a few compounding factors here, and they all sort of just created the perfect storm. So first of them was the GFC, and our dollar dropped immensely. And we were on, the American dollar dropped. And so we all of a sudden, where we were 50 cents to the American dollar, and a very, very cheap alternative for American publishers to go and find talented developers that speak English and can work through the night while those producers are asleep, and had a long history of technical sort of excellence in games. We all of a sudden cost the same amount as like a Sony Santa Monica studio, but we didn't have 9 to 10 years under our belts of fantastic, creative, original IP. We just had this shovelware that we'd basically been, suckling on the teat from these huge American publishers for so long. And then things like the iPhone happened as well. So mobile gaming, all of a sudden, all of these publishers were taking the risk out of making these huge, couple $1 million sort of middle of the road titles and putting all their bets into mobile. And so that whole band that Australia survived on just disappeared. And so even though Australia as a country, because we're a mining and agriculture country and an island 17,000 miles away from everyone, because we were so insulated, we actually didn't feel the effects of the GFC, but the games industry was completely destroyed, essentially.
Yeah, just ravaged.
Just totally ravaged. Like thousands of people lost their jobs, essentially. And so it got to a point where, things started springing up around the place, like IGDA Melbourne and things like this, where people came together and we created a forum for people to meet each other and for already successful independent developers, because although it was very small at the time, there has always been a very strong independent game development community in Australia and in Melbourne in particular. In fact, Australia is one of the birthplaces of the art game, essentially, and we've had some incredible independent projects. And so when a lot of people were like, oh, I've lost my job, maybe I'll go independent, there already was a small belt of independent developers here who had some international clout, who had had some success as well, both creatively, critically, commercially. And so there was a nice little sort of garden bed for things to be planted in. And then it took time, we made a lot of really shitty games for a long time. And a lot of these people that came together and made games just didn't, they just flopped, as you do. But then, of course, you have ones that rise through and become these sort of shining beacons and help lift everyone up. And that's sort of where we're at now with studios like ourselves and Defiant Development and the guys that made Crossy Road, like Hipster Whale, Comobius that made Beans Quest and Duet, and Framed, the guys at Love Shack. We've just got, I think it was last year in the Intel Level Up Awards, 50% of the finalists were Australian developers. So we're really a huge sort of presence in the independent gaming scene. Maybe not in numbers or quantity, but most definitely in the quality of stuff that we're putting out now 5 years or 6 years after the crash.
Man, it's so encouraging to see that happening, to see that, not just the sort of blossoming of all of these independent studios, but at the exact same time, like you said, coming out of a sort of regional industry that was very much about cheaply making games that, forget the fact, these licensed games might have been very well made, but at the exact same time, the vast majority of people out there who weren't just looking for something that was $10 at a Walmart in 2007 would just sit there and just not give any kind of due consideration. But now, the scene in Australia is let's take risks, let's make things that are original, let's make things that are very artful and because that's the greatest opportunity for us. Do you do you foresee a situation where, League of Geeks or, Hipster Whale or any of these studios would start to, sometime in the next few years be like, well, let's start working with big publishers. Let's start going after, like, larger contract work rather than making our own thing?
Yes, certainly. Excuse me. Yes, certainly. So I think one of the biggest things about independent development these days is how much it's now. I don't want to say fractured or splintered, but it's more like all the different directions that it's gone in, like the spectrum of independent developers and possibilities that we have now as independent developers. So, for example, we have a fantastic relationship with, we're on Sony as a platform, so we have a fantastic relationship with all of the Sony partners, and we have a fantastic relationship with just publishers like Paradox. You look at a game like Armello, and you can imagine how Paradox and League of Geeks are getting together at PAX and having dinner and saying, hey, there is a chance for us to work together at some point, and it's one of those things where that door is always open. Something that we do at League of Geeks is we have every conversation. I remember when we launched our Kickstarter, one of the largest gaming companies in the world wanted to acquire us. So we have that conversation. We had no interest at the time of being acquired, but you always have that conversation. I think as a like small independent studio head or studio, you've got to. You never know which way the tide is going to turn. And I think that was a big thing that happened with Australia where we went so wrong, is that a lot of the studio heads at the time just thought that money was going to be there forever, that type of work was never going to disappear. And if they did sort of have an inkling that, hey, maybe things would change at some point, they did nothing to be ready for that. And so something that we do at League of Geeks is remain open to all options. And I think as well, it's very important to understand the difference between financial independence and creative independence, and actual independence in regards to your ownership. For example, there are a couple of independent titles that actually strictly really aren't independent titles, things like Journey or Bastion that were funded by
that money came
publishers.
from the platform holders themselves. That's
exactly.
Those are
so
yeah. Please continue.
Yeah. So, but you look at them and they're fantastic shining examples of, and especially in the case of Supergiant Games, that game, gave them a platform to continue making fantastic, incredible, engaging games and their own IP and sort of control their own destiny. And so there is a way to, it looks like, everything could tank tomorrow, but it looks like we've been successful enough with Armello to be able to continue controlling our own destiny, which was the goal all along. But hey, maybe there comes a day where someone comes up to us and says, hey, make a Star Wars Armello. And, that would be super cool. Or someone says, hey, here's this cool deal. Let's work together. You guys don't have to worry about marketing and PR. We'll do retail distribution as well. We'll make sure that you've got, we'll handle other things like voice talent, whatever. There still a huge swathe of services that, people like, or entities like publishers can offer independent developers. And I think I think the most beautiful thing about independent development these days is that really we have an a la carte menu, and if you're making great content, then you can really, just take your pick from that menu.
Let's check in with everybody here. First of all, Sana, why do you and I suck? We're just not.
I don't know, man.
We're not doing great. We only have the 4 prestige. I don't think we're doing this correctly. And that Dog Knight hates you. I think Barnaby is just quietly smoking everybody in this game. Max, was that your plan from the start?
Sophia, if you hold down the touchpad button on your PS4 controller,
Sophia,
you can see who's currently. Sophia's currently in the lead. She has the 4 Spirit Stones, so if she does make it inside of the palace and confronts the king, she will engage in a hug-it-out confrontation and make the king better.
Spirit Stones, and you tried to hug it out, but I saw that you failed.
I did. I have the Spirit Stones, but I've yet to breach the palace walls. I keep walking in, and they keep telling me, no solicitors are allowed, and then I have to turn around and leave.
Do you show up and you go like, have you heard the good Barnaby news?
Yeah, no. They're like, yeah, we have. It's called you. The good news is you're leaving. Bye. That's just what's been happening over and over. So if I can get in and hug it out, I'm much closer to the king, than Sophia is. But I just don't see myself getting in there. The Dog Knight's also gonna whoop up on me because by virtue of me trying to go into the palace, I now have a bounty on my head. So the Dog Knights are.
Those Dog Knights just hate you. I gotta say now, Trent, I can't stop thinking about Star Wars Armello. Why did you have to say that, man?
Starmello.
Starmello.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's funny that you said Starmello because that was our April Fool's joke. We announced a game called Starmello, and it was like it would totally. Ty, our art director, did one of my business partners did a movie poster sort of Starmello in the Gatchaman, Japanese retro style.
Oh, nice.
And it was
I want that.
It just blew up. Yeah, it was like the most.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the most popular post on our Facebook, and it made us really insecure because it was more popular than the other. We're like, oh god, no, it's a joke. Everyone, settle down. So yeah.
Trent Lost Wolf in the chat. He's asked this a couple of times actually, but he's curious to know about the GOG version of Armello and what's the story behind that. How's that coming along?
Cool. So we were planning to release DRM free builds on GOG and Humble Bundle with launch, but unfortunately the multiplayer structure for the DRM free builds is just completely different to what we're using in the multiplayer games. We have to have like room code lobbies and all sort of stuff like that. So we got like a week or something out from launch, and we were like, actually it was only like a few days, and we were like, yeah, this just isn't going to happen. We just weren't happy with how stable it was and the experience, and so we basically called up GOG and Humble, and we were like, look, unfortunately we're going to have to push this release. So we're actually working on it right now, and we're getting very close. So you can expect DRM pre-release released on GOG and Humble, and I think a couple of other regional stores as well. Within the next couple of weeks, so that's what it's looking like so far. But we're on it.
Another question from the chat here from Easily Baffled, and this one, until Easily Baffled said this, it wouldn't have crossed my mind. I would have just been like, oh, of course. Why dice? Why have dice when you don't need dice?
It's a really, really interesting question, and we asked ourselves that for months. So essentially, it came down to the fact that we wanted to make, when we sat down and we were prototyping it on paper, we wanted to make a game that was a board game that was designed for digital. So naturally, we ask ourselves, like, do we have cards, or do we just have abilities, that you get like in a little action bar down the bottom, or do we have dice, or is it more of an Advanced Wars style thing where you just tally up damage? You're not rolling dice; it's just like these instant encounters. And, after we played the game for a few months on paper and, we had these dice that we designed and everything for our combat system, we realized that a huge, huge, huge part of the tabletop experience is watching those dice roll, is getting them in your hand, shaking them all up, watching your pool of dice grow, like seeing the physical size of your dice stack, and then throwing them in and, watching them all settle, and that suspense as well. And so it was kind of, by the time we got to the digital version, it was a no-brainer. If we really wanted to make a digital board game that had that nostalgia, that had that feel, that had that, those kickbacks to that design and those experiences that we all love, then we just had to have the dice.
Trent, you've mentioned nostalgia a couple of times, and it's really funny. Like, I look at Armello, and this just feels utterly modern to me. I before the past 6 years of my life, I didn't have many adults coming up to me and being like, "Hey man, board game night." Like, board games have been having their moment around the
There's
world.
a bit of a renaissance.
Yeah, very much so. And I love that. I think it's great. And I look at Armello, and Armello feels of a piece with that. It feels very distinct. But I do see what you mean as nostalgia being a part of this. For me, I look at this and all of a sudden it goes back to my generation shit. I see Secret of Nim. I see, Watership Down in a ratty old elementary school library. What are the nostalgic roots for you guys in this? how did nostalgia for you fuel the making of this?
So one of the biggest things for us, and especially for me, like more so than, when I, as a game designer or creative director or whatever, it is that I do in games. One of the big things for me is tone and pastiche and style and execution on a theme and, really like the world that you're bringing someone into. And I think that speaks volumes for a bunch of us at League of Geeks. And so we knew that we could design a good board game. Like we're good, we believe in our abilities as game designers. So we knew when we sat down, it was just going to be a matter of time until we designed the board game that worked. And we did. But really, while we were designing it, we weren't going like, we need a board game that has the tactics of this and, where you can play cards and everything. Really what we set out to do was we wanted to create a board game that gave you that magical sense of adventure that you get when you're an hour into a Ghibli film or 50 hours into Skyrim or, like the thing, that magic sauce that just feels different, like that comes from being on an adventure. And we wanted to compact that into, like within an hour, essentially. And so that's when we were developing the board game. That's like what we were chasing. And so we got to about the 10th version of the prototype, and then we just had this magical game where we were like, we've done it, we've hit it, we found it, this feels great. Okay, now we've got to take it to the digital platforms. Now we've got to get into the code. And then from there on out, because we've been playing a board game that we knew worked, the question was then, how do we bring a board game to life, and can we do it? So some of the first things that actually went into the digital version were like the seagulls flying around the map. Before we even had a quest system or anything, we had like clouds in the game and things like that, because that was what it was all about. Is really evoking that theme, that world. And also we wanted to create something that, because we have this point system where 50% of the profits go to the team, we also needed to create a world so we could do things like merchandising or create a brand where we could take it to tell stories in an animated series or in comic books or in novellas, or that we wanted to create a beautiful soundtrack. So all of this sort of comes when you're trying to create something, not like where how do I say this? When you're trying to create something where the interaction itself is weighted. When you're trying to create something where the thematics and the experience of the world and what you feel when you're in that world is weighted the same as the interaction of the game's mechanics, and that they integrate, and that the mechanics mirror that world, like how we have the contrasting day and night mechanics and the wild and the rot and all of these themes of contrast and duality within Armello that come from those independent or those 80s adventure films that we love, that you mentioned, like Secret of Nim, Dark Crystal, Watership Down, The Labyrinth, Star Wars even, like the Studio Ghibli films, like all of those. And when we pull mechanics out of them and we push theme into other mechanics, then that's what you get. You get this warm familiarity of nostalgia of a place that feels like you've been here before, or that it's somewhere. It's sort of a special place, even though you've never heard of Armello before. You've never been here.
Man, all of the other points of reference definitely make sense to me. Labyrinth, I'm not seeing, but that's because David Bowie's Cod Piece is always the first thing that pops in my head when I think of Labyrinth.
Yeah. Well, that's an unlockable in Armello, so you'll get to that soon.
Yes!
One of the really rare cards you find is just a big gold glistening cod piece that you can equip.
Yes! It's everything I've always wanted. Max, why did you beat the crap out of Dave? That wasn't cool, man.
Hey, look, I
was my fault.
It's strong, I'm just saying.
Wait, Dave,
both,
did you
both
start that?
Sophia and I... Oh.
Yeah, I
Dave,
started that.
yeah, he was picking on me. And I mean, it was a good move. It was a good move. He needed to slow me down.
So another thing to remember about Armello is that it is a board game. I think when you come to, something that we're seeing a lot of, being one of the first, high-profile digital board games that have, basically ever been created as a digital-first board game, is that a lot of people are used to the classic deterministic style of strategy games where They are highly deterministic, but considering that Armello is a board game, there is an incredible amount of, almost at every turn within Armello, there are these random elements. And really, where Armello shines and where the mastery comes is from a completely different angle than most strategy games. In a lot of strategy games, you can usually plan 8 to 10 turns ahead, and you sort of have this, you can look at Civ and just blast through 10 turns and then go, okay, yeah, I had a couple minor hiccups, but I'm still on the path of where I'm going. And you can see things unfolding as they come your way. But with Armello, in a single turn, your plans can be thwarted. And it's really about... Armello is all about weighing the odds in your favor, is getting that sort of that slider and pushing it as far along in your favor as you can. And that comes through mastery of the systems. That comes through when things don't go your way, is looking at your hand and the board in a whole new light and deciding to, and being open to pivoting at any moment. I played a game last night and I was going for a combat victory and I got hit away a couple of times. And there was only 2 turns left, and so I knew I couldn't make it to the palace, but I just thought I'd get as close as I could. And then when I was on my last turn, I saw that a few of the heroes had sort of bunched up together, and I had one spell, and I nuked Mercurio and then attacked Amber and then attacked the Bane and got like 3 prestige, and because Mercurio died from my spell, I swung the lead and, sort of won at the end because I was open to that, and I knew the permutations of everything in my hand and what to expect from the systems and how they react. So Armello is all about, like you said, it's easy to get into and you can have fun, especially if you're just like cool and you can roll with a bit of the randomness for a while. But the longer you play it, the more you can actually make the game deterministic, the more you can see sort of through the matrix and see opportunities and plays where others would just skip over it.
Serana79. So Armello is the next Monopoly Mario Party in that it is the best game to break long friendships. That entire scenario you just described, Trent, sounds like a nightmare. I would be pissed at you if you just put down that spell at that exact moment. I would live
I know. It's totally like that. Like we designed a game. So there's a game called Steve Jackson's Illuminati that we used to play a little bit. And it's a board game / card game. So, you're laying down cards to create these sort of chains, and everyone plays as a different Illuminati. So, the Freemasons or, the Order of Cthulhu or something like that. And
Bermuda Triangle.
Essentially,
that's my favorite.
Yeah. Straight up. And so basically what you're doing a lot of the time is you're making these deals with people. Like, so someone will say, hey, let's do this. And you're like, all right, yeah, cool. I'll trade you this for this. Okay. And then as soon as they do it and it gets to your turn, you then turn to the person next to you and you go, hey, let's screw this person over, blah, blah, blah. And they're right there in front of you. And it's just that betrayal and that friendship destroying, those mechanics that just create that in people in these short bursts of time. We just love that. And, Game of Thrones is, you can probably tell, was a big influence for us as well. The betrayal and the political intrigue and everything there. Blake, one of our systems, the sort of main systems designer in Armello, and my business partner read the Machiavellian a lot. When he was younger, and so it's like those sorts of really intriguing political plays and backstabbing and maneuvering really intrigued us, and so we really wanted to find a way to get that into Armello, where it was a game that could put friendships at great risk.
Dave, what the hell did I ever do to you, man? You just got lit up, that's what happened. Enjoy my bunny umbrella up in your business. Actually, oh, come on, now you healed? What the hell, man? Sucks. Getting out of here, leaving. Hidden Trap, Wits versus Peril. This is not going my way, Trent. This is going very bad.
Yeah, it gets a little rough.
God,
I tell you what.
Oh, please, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, sort of off topic, but like losing friends. So we have friends at a studio in the Netherlands called Abbey Games, and they made Roos, and they made a game just recently released on Steam. But they are, like, Manuel, one of the guys at that studio, is a huge board game fan, and they would play Diplomacy, but they would play it over a whole day, where every turn you have 20 minutes to go into different rooms and talk to people, and then they would all come back and have their turns. And he would say that sometimes they would have talked to each other for weeks after they played this game. These long, extended parlay versions of diplomacy.
You know, Trent, this isn't really a question. This is more rhetorical than anything else. But does Barnaby really need to have that smug grin the entire time? You goddamn little arrogant son of a Max. God.
Barnaby made a huge mistake trying to get into this part of the castle.
Yeah, I think that clearly did not go your way, man. That did not go well.
That was the wrong attribute I was rolling against.
The palace perils is you want to get a nice hand of cards. You want to be burning those cards, matching those symbols, and giving yourself the best odds that you can to get in there. And actually, the symbols are deterministic as well on the perils too. So you know, again, this is another thing with mastery. You begin to know that that the north and south have the moon and the sun symbols in there, and that the west and the east have the sword and the shield symbols. And you really want to make sure that you're rolling at least sort of 6 dice. And so you can use your clan bonus, your clan affinity. So, if Barnaby as a rabbit should be probably attempting the perils during the day so he gets an extra die. Things like that.
Man. I don't think
the king's down to just one more heart. So we're about to... One way or another, Sophia is about to win this game.
One way or another, Sophia is about to kick all of our asses. Damn it, Sophia. I was expecting the match to go a little bit quicker. I thought we were going to be able to get in too, and I was very wrong. And I think this is because Dave and I suck. I think that's the real problem here. Yeah, man. Another question from Easily Baffled here. In a board game like Risk, it's really easy to screw up one turn and then just be doomed to last place for the next 3 hours. Did you guys have to worry about players falling too far behind, like Dave and I, who are just awful?
Yeah, there were a couple of moments through development where we put a real close eye on that. But we're actually very lucky in the sense that all of the systems...
Damn it, Dave!
All of the systems that we design. Yeah, just let them sort out their stuff. You just hang back.
Yeah.
All of the systems and everything that we designed, the fact that we wanted to get multiple playstyles into the game and multiple paths to victory, and have also any hero really be able to be augmented into a particular playstyle, that we found actually pretty early on that, and it stayed this way throughout development, is that you can't really get yourself into a point in Armello where it's all hopeless. There's only really maybe on the last turn, but even before, I was just saying, like, on the second last turn there was no way I could win, so I just tried to get closer to the palace, and then I had a good draw and the heroes sort of just came together and I actually ended up winning the game. So there's always, because the game is a little, has that randomness in it as well, always there, it can swing in your favor. And one of the key things to being a sort of to clicking into that next level of mastery as an Armello player is leaving yourself open to completely changing your victory type at any given point. So, like, say for example, even if you have like 4 spirit stones, you might at some point, like towards the end, go, you know what, I'm not going to get into the palace. This just isn't going to happen. So now I need to just start farming Banes and going for prestige. Or I need to like take out Sana because she's in the lead. Or I need to start hammering the trickery deck to get prestige. Or you know what, such and such is so ahead in prestige and the king's only on 2 health. I just need to go for the palace. So there is always, it's never hopeless. It can definitely seem that way in the land of Armello a lot. Even from 2 turns in, it can definitely seem very hopeless. But I think that's the beauty of it, is the more that you play the game, the more you see how many opportunities you have to swing games in your favor.
Max, is there a runaway button?
Yeah, dude, you're about to get lit up.
There's the peace out button.
Where I'm not fighting anybody. Everyone just like quietly.
Sophia, my current quest for like the past half hour is up where you're hanging out right now. And I've just died like 4 times trying to get there. I got killed by one of these stupid purple birds who all rotted me up, and then Dave kept being like, hey, I'll beat the crap out of you. And then he beat the crap out of me, and it sucked, and I couldn't get there. It's a real problem.
Yeah, not passing the time until you guys kill each other, and I just win by default.
Default.
That's actually a total strategy. So Lisi, our associate producer and community manager, she played that playstyle for so long. She would play Mercurio and just hang out in forests and everything and just snipe prestige whenever she could and just be the quiet achiever. And then at the end of the game, she'd just steal the throne.
And you're like, wait, I don't even know how I collected all this prestige. I was like, oh wow, I got like 12.
Yeah.
Trent,
exactly.
Where did you guys... So you talked briefly before about how for 8 months Armello just existed on paper. And what was...
Yeah.
Max, what are you doing?
I was climbing that prestige ladder. I was listening to Trent's A+ advice.
Yeah.
And I decided to not try to get to the castle anymore and just go for prestige.
Just go right up that prestige tower. What did Armello look like when it was purely on paper? Like, were you like, all right, bears and swords and hexagons, and we'll figure it out after that?
It's funny. Yeah, it went through so many different iterations. We just tried everything. Like I said, we didn't start out going, let's make Civ meets this, and so, we just knew we had hexes from the start. It actually started with just like, let's make a board game. Then Blake came and dumped a gridded up, huge piece of paper of some satellite imagery he'd printed out, and then just sat there and wrote like just unit values on some cut up pieces of paper, and we played a game, and that was like moving armies around the board, and then we had that wasn't personal enough, so then we had heroes that led these armies around the board, and then we tried, I think then we moved to hexes, and then it got to a point where it was like, you know what, let's just swap all of the armies for just a single hero, because we're not even paying any attention to our armies because the heroes are so much more interesting. And we moved through all these things like this, but we had boards where you would get a flower of hexes and you would like build the board as you played.
Oh, cool.
The King's Declarations were actually born of a card system that Ty had initially brought to the game, which was like a global events deck. So you would draw like events and you could play them to people. And then we were like, wouldn't it be cool if we had some sort of voting, like political voting mechanism, like a prisoner's dilemma style thing each dawn? So then we had those two things, and we're like, you know what, let's just merge them, take the voting out, but make these global events happen every dawn. And, you just move through and when you're playing something over and over again, so sometimes we wouldn't even finish a game because, playing a hectic board game like this on paper takes a few hours, and, so we get a bunch of the way through, then we go, all right, let's stop. Like, this probably isn't going anywhere. What worked? What didn't? What gave us that sense of adventure? What mechanics and moments were really cool? And so, you just naturally start to drift towards things like equipping items and then getting treasures felt really cool because we wanted that fast sense of progression. We had a system where you would upgrade your clan grounds. So you could send money back to your clan and, you could get a market in your clan grounds so that you could get gold at night or something like that. And that just that was too much. And it felt too weird that you were a hero on the board, but also upgrading your clan grounds. It was really weird.
Yeah,
so then
it sounds like it's like the idea of chiseling away all of these complications seemed like that was what was central.
Totally. Yeah, for sure. And and when you look at it at the end of the day, it doesn't seem like a stripped down game.
No,
but
not at all.
But there are some core things. Like when there might be 3 decks, but they're still cards. They still have this consistency. There's an internal consistency within the world that if you look at a system that you haven't sort of seen before, you can go, oh yeah, maybe, oh yeah, I expect it to work like this. And that, I guess that really worked in our favor. And when we like I said, when we hit version 10 and we had the palace in the middle and the perils and, settlements that you could capture and dungeons that you could explore and all of these sorts of, and treasures and items and followers that you're equipping to your party, that was when we were like, okay, we've hit it. Like this feels right. And then we did about 6 more sort of like minor iterations on that before we were like, we can't take it any further, because every time we change one thing, we've got to reprint 300 cards and the whole board and all of these sheets, and there's 2 GMs running a game, and each game takes 3 hours now. So, you know, we're now at the point of diminishing returns. We need to start getting into the code.
God, Maxwell just destroying these birds.
I like the idea of it taking 2 GMs to run a game. That must have been really
intense.
because
of all the NPCs, right? It's like, you know, like right now, think how many Banes are around the board and how many King's Guards there are, and, you know, things to keep track of. Like everyone right now would be getting like a bunch of different buffs at night and like during the day, and so there was sort of like a GM to look after the NPCs and like hand out quests and things like that, and then there was a GM to just keep track of everyone's stats and make sure that people were like tracking it all. Because we went ham on the stats and the resources and everything that you could have as a character, because we knew that in the game you would be able to press triangle and bring up a hero sheet that would track it all for you, you know. And we've got a palace entry. Yeah.
Yes, Sophia, the stream is going to catch up, so I think Sophia... Oh, no, Max wins.
Yeah, Max. Where did you get all the prestige at the last minute?
Max just came from behind.
The prestige at the last minute, so I took down Dave, and then I immediately took down a Bane after him, and those both gave me prestige.
Oh, man.
Oh.
That was the big...
Sophia, what happened
The stars
there?
were right.
What happened at the end? Like, you came very close to getting up in Mufasa's business.
Oh, I tried entering the palace twice. I can't seem to get past the initial peril part. I don't have enough die. And then, I couldn't hit the...
If you click X again, Anthony, you can see the accolades.
Yeah, I just went into the accolades, and I like that Sophia's is pacifist.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
A well-earned pacifist accolade.
And
very accurate.
I don't know how I feel about having martyr on mine. I don't know if that feels great.
I think those little rewards are like my favorite thing from GoldenEye and Smash Brothers. That like era of multiplayer, giving everybody a little name. That makes it so much better.
I like that Dave got Goldfinger. That's the best.
That was good timing, though.
Yeah, that is perfect timing.
Take an hour and a half usually.
Yeah, that is a perfect round, and we have just a couple of minutes left here on the stream. Trent, thank you so much, man, for getting up at the ass crack of dawn on the other side of the world to join us. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it, man.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me, guys. If I could leave you with one parting Armello tip.
Oh, please.
So with the perils, you want to be doing your quests, and you want to be picking wits or spirit. If you're planning on entering the palace, you want to get a couple of, quests in there, either on wits or spirit. And then you want to lean into your character's strength, and you want to go for the peril that is of that particular stat on the right time of day, and you want to have a good hand of, a good spread of card symbols in your hand to just have the odds as good as possible. And you probably don't want to go in there with less than 6 dice and a few cards to burn as well to get the odds in your favor. So if you get that, that's one of the big things. Once you get your head around what you need to do or when and how you should be approaching perils, that's when those other victory types really start to open themselves up to you. Because for combat, spirit stones, and the rot victory types, you need to get through those perils.
Man, that is... So Dave and I think need that tip the most. Dave, next time we do this, man, we're gonna take all of that advice to heart. Everybody, you can play Armello on PlayStation 4 and on your PC right now. It is out there in the world, and it is a damn fun game. You can follow League of Geeks on Twitter. That's just twitter.com/League of Geeks, and you can follow Armello at Armello Game on Twitter. You can follow us. We're Games Radar. It's twitter.com/Games Radar, and you can check us out on Facebook. It's facebook.com/Games Radar Plus. Not the symbol, the word. Don't worry about it. It's a whole thing. We will be back next week with all kinds of shows. Next week is Destiny Week on Games Radar. So much Destiny all the freaking time, and we're going to have a slate of streams Monday through Thursday that are all Destiny related in some way. We're going to be playing Destiny on Monday. We're going to have access to Taken King. We're going to be showing you what that's all about. On Tuesday, we're going to have comedian Matt Little from Upright Citizens Brigade hanging out with us while we play the most famous Bungie game ever made. The most important thing in their back catalog. And I'm talking, of course, about the DeviantArt disaster known as Oni.
Screw you, dude. I like Oni.
No.
Oni was a good game.
No.
They had real architects make the level designs.
They had real architects make
real
architects make those warehouses filled with cardboard boxes.
That's why they were so confusing, because they weren't supposed to be actual levels.
On Wednesday, we're also digging even further back into the Bungie catalog on Departure Lounge. We're going to be playing Marathon. We're likely going to be playing the Xbox 360 version of Marathon, so get ready for some motion sickness. And then on Thursday, we're actually going to have creative director from Destiny, the Taken King, Luke Smith, on with us on the next How It's Done. So if you haven't already, click that little heart at the bottom. Follow us. We will be back next week. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you again, Trent.
No problem. Thanks, Pat.